You wake up to the sound of glass bottles on the porch. The milkman has made his early delivery, and the soft clink of glass on the wooden steps is the familiar signal that the day has begun. In 1950s Texas, milk in the city almost always arrives in glass bottles sealed with a paper lid, still cold from the early morning air. You step outside barefoot to bring them in, feeling the rough boards of the porch under your feet. Across the street, a neighbor waves. Here, almost everyone knows each other by name, and during the day, doors are often left unlocked. If someone walks in without knocking, it usually means they came to borrow a tool or return one from the day before. Your home is typical of the 1950s. One bathroom for the whole family, one television in the living room, and one car in the garage. In 1950, the average cost of a house in the United States is about $7,400, and families often pay off their mortgage within 15 years. It is an ordinary life, and no one considers it poor. The bathroom is tiled in soft pastel colors, with your father's shaving kit and your mother's perfume sharing the same shelf. Mornings start with a line for the sink and a knock on the door when someone is taking too long. In the kitchen, the smell of bacon and toasted bread fills the air. Your mother sets down a plate of eggs and toast, while your father reads the morning newspaper, delivered by a teenage paperboy pedaling his bike through the neighborhood. The newspaper feels more alive than the television news, since your set is black and white with a screen no bigger than a dinner plate. Color sets appeared in 1954 with a price close to $1,000, about the same as a used car, so most homes still use black and white models. The television stands in the corner of the living room, its cord running up to a rooftop antenna. When the picture turns fuzzy, someone has to go up to the attic and turn it by hand, while another person shouts from the window when the image clears. In the hallway hangs a rotary dial telephone. The line is shared with the neighbors, so if they are already on a call, you have to wait. Sometimes you dial almost the whole number, make a mistake on the last digit, and start again. You sit down at the table, pour milk into your coffee, and take a warm piece of toast. In that era, most homes did not have modern electric coffee makers. Instead, coffee was brewed on the stovetop in a percolator, the clear glass knob on top letting you watch the rich brown liquid bubble up. Some families used enamel or aluminum pots, pouring the coffee into thick ceramic mugs. In the 1950s, coffee was not a trendy specialty drink, but an everyday staple in almost every home. It was offered to guests, served after dinner, and carried in a thermos to work or on the road. Advertising for major brands like Folgers filled magazines and radio airwaves, promising good to the last drop and mountain-grown flavor. Coffee was tied to hospitality and the comfort of home rather than a trip to a cafe, which in the modern sense simply did not exist. You step out of the house and onto the sidewalk, the morning sun already warming the concrete. Main Street stretches ahead, lined with small shops, angled parking spaces, and the hum of early activity. Parked at the curb is a gleaming Chevy Bel Airs, the kind of car that turns heads even when it is standing still. Introduced in 1955, it became a symbol of style and prosperity, with its two-tone paint jobs, chrome trim, and a V8 that promised power as soon as you pressed the pedal. Teenagers dream about cars like this, and a lucky few in town get to drive them to school, their friends piling in for the ride. A little farther down near the grocery store sits a Ford F-100 pickup, the dependable workhorse of the decade. In the early 1950s, you could buy one brand new for under $1,500, which made it a practical choice for tradesmen, small business owners, and families who needed to haul anything from lumber to livestock feed. You make your way toward the heart of the street, passing the wide front windows of Woolworth's. The glass is spotless, displaying everything from shiny toasters and patterned curtains to neatly folded shirts and dresses. At the far end, a rack of vinyl records leans under the weight of the newest releases. The bright sleeve of an Elvis Presley album stares back at you, his hair slicked just right, the promise of a song that might make the afternoon feel brighter. Inside, the store smells faintly of floor polish and warm popcorn from the small snack counter. Clerks in pressed uniforms straighten displays while chatting with customers who wander in for a few items, but always leave with more than they planned. Behind you, the hiss and rumble of a city bus cuts through the morning air. The doors fold open, and a handful of passengers step down, their footsteps quick as they head toward work. Public buses are still an important way to get around in Texas cities, and in some neighborhoods you can still catch a streetcar. Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio keep them running, though fewer each year as cars begin to dominate the roads. A streetcar bell rings faintly from a few blocks away, its sound bouncing off brick storefronts. The fare is cheap, just a few coins, and for students or elderly neighbors, it is still the most reliable ride in town. You take in the mix of sounds, the distant clang of a streetcar, the muffled honk of a horn, the low conversation between two shopkeepers sweeping their steps. The heat will come later, but now there is only the warmth of a Texas morning, the scent of coffee from an open cafe door, and the feeling that the whole city is ready to start the day. The school building rises ahead, its brick walls already warm in the morning sun. Inside, the hallway smells faintly of chalk and floor wax. Lockers slam shut, and the hum of voices fills the air as students make their way to class. Your classroom has tall windows that let in the light, but do little to ease the heat. Most schools in Texas still have no air conditioning, so by midday the air hangs heavy, and the wooden desks feel warm to the touch. A chalkboard runs the length of the wall, covered in neat handwriting from the first lesson. In the back of your mind, you are already thinking about the bulletin board in the cafeteria with the latest baseball scores. Minor league teams in Texas cities draw big crowds, and a good game can be the talk of the week. Between classes, the hallway comes alive with trade and chatter. A group of boys sits by the lockers swapping baseball cards, the glossy cardboard worn at the corners. You catch glimpses of familiar faces on the cards. For example, Mickey Mantle in a crisp New York Yankees uniform. Some cards come wrapped in sticks of gum, the sweet smell mixing with the scent of the paper. A lucky trade can make a whole day better. When the lunch bell rings, you join the line in the cafeteria. Today's menu is simple but filling. A slice of meatloaf, a scoop of green peas, mashed potatoes, and a small carton of milk. You carry your tray to a long table where the sound of chairs scraping and the clatter of silverware blends into a steady hum. The conversation jumps from homework to weekend plans, and in one corner someone is telling a story about the public pool closing last summer during a polio outbreak. Before the vaccine arrived in 1955, parents kept a wary eye on crowded places, and the thought of swimming sometimes brought more fear than fun. After lunch, the day stretches on through history lessons, math problems, and the occasional glance toward the clock. Some students will head to baseball practice once classes end. Others plan to gather in the debate club room to prepare for their next competition. Down the hall, the orchestra tunes up for rehearsal. In the auditorium, the school play cast is already running lines on stage. The afternoon heat presses in, but the promise of what comes after class keeps you going. Classes end and the warm afternoon air greets you as you step onto the sidewalk. You and a couple of friends head toward downtown, the sound of bicycle tires humming on the pavement. In the park, a group of boys is already on the baseball diamond, shouting to each other as the crack of the bat carries across the grass. On the path nearby, kids pedal hard, weaving around each other without a single helmet in sight. The boys wear jeans and white t-shirts, some with short-sleeve shirts over them, while the girls ride in poodle skirts or light cotton dresses with cardigans. The benches are dotted with older men reading the newspaper, and a vendor sells cold sodas from a cart under the shade of an oak tree. Your first stop is the record store, a narrow shop lined with shelves of vinyl. The air smells faintly of cardboard sleeves and polished wood floors. Near the back, a listening booth waits, and you slide an Elvis Presley single onto the turntable. The opening notes of That's All Right fill the small space, warm and crackling from the speakers. In the window, a hand-lettered sign lists prices. Most singles cost about 75 cents, and you can play a track on the jukebox for a dime. Outside, the faint echo of music drifts into the street. A few blocks away, the doors of the community dance hall are propped open to catch the breeze. Inside, the wooden floor shines under soft lights, and a live band is setting up. Tonight, they will play country standards and Texas swing, the kind of music that fills the room with couples of all ages. Teenagers will come back dressed for the occasion, boys trading their school shirts for pressed collared ones, girls in brighter dresses that sway with each step. The foxtrot, the two-step, and the swing will all find a place before the night ends. Before heading home, you stop at the soda fountain. The counter stools are bright red vinyl, the chrome fixtures polished to a shine. Behind the glass, rows of ice cream tubs wait with hand-painted signs. A chocolate malt is 20 cents, a single scoop cone just 10. You order a cola and sip slowly as friends drift in, some fresh from the park, others with library books under their arms. Conversation hums beneath the clink of glassware, and for a moment it feels like the whole town is here. The sun is slipping low, casting long shadows across the street as you and your friends make your way toward the diner. Its neon sign hums in the window, glowing red and blue against the evening light. Inside, the smell of sizzling burgers and fresh pie drifts from the open kitchen. Red vinyl booths line the walls, the chrome trim reflecting the soft glow from overhead lights. The Formica tables gleam, each one with a small jukebox selector ready for a nickel or dime. You slide into a booth near the window, the seat cool at first against the back of your legs. A waitress in a crisp uniform glides past on roller skates, balancing a tray of burgers and milkshakes without missing a step. She calls greetings to a group of teenagers clustered at the counter, their elbows resting on the shiny surface as they talk over each other. The menu is simple but tempting. Burgers cost 20 cents, fries are a dime, pie slices are 15 cents, and a thick chocolate malt is a quarter. Tonight you settle on a cheeseburger, fries, and soda in a glass bottle, the cap popped off with a hiss. From the corner, a burst of music spills from the jukebox. Someone has chosen Elvis Presley, and his voice fills the room. A few minutes later, it changes to Chuck Berry, the rhythm quick enough to make your foot tap under the table. You drop in a coin and pick Buddy Holly, the familiar chords making you smile. The booths are filled with couples leaning close, groups of friends laughing, and families sharing plates. Outside, the drive-in section is busy. Car hops hurry between rows of cars, hooking trays to open windows. A convertible with the top down holds 3 boys in jeans and white t-shirts, their hair slicked back with pomade. A few cars over, girls in light jackets pass a milkshake between them, leaning in to share a straw. If you are here on a date, the rules are clear. The boy pays for everything from the burgers to the jukebox songs. It is expected and not debated. He might walk around to open the car door for her and make sure she orders first. In return, she thanks him with a smile, maybe shares her fries, and laughs at his jokes. The night might end with a slow song on the jukebox, the two of them talking quietly before he walks her to the car. Your food arrives hot and fresh, the burger wrapped in wax paper and the fries piled beside it. You take a long drink of cola, the glass bottle sweating in your hand. The flavors are simple, salty, and sweet, and somehow perfect. The jukebox turns again, and as you listen, you know you could sit here all night watching the glow of the neon and the constant rhythm of people coming and going. You roll into the gas station as the sun dips low, its warm light bouncing off the chrome trim of passing cars. In 1950s, Texas gasoline sold for about 29 cents a gallon, and with a $5 bill, you could fill your tank, grab a snack, and still have change left in your pocket. The station attendant steps forward as soon as you pull up, greeting you with a nod and a smile. There is no self-service here. He pumps the gas, checks your oil, wipes the dust from your windshield, and leans down to inspect your tire pressure. His uniform is pressed, his cap is squarely on his head, and the company logo is stitched neatly over his shirt pocket. Texaco is among the most common gas station brands in Texas cities and along the highways, its bright signs standing tall above the road. The pump beside you clicks softly as the rolling number dials spin, measuring each gallon with a mechanical rhythm. Beside the small office, a rack of free road maps sits waiting for travelers, their covers marked with colorful drawings of Texas highways stretching toward the horizon. You step inside the shop, where the air smells faintly of motor oil and warm pavement. Glass bottles of knee-high soda glisten in the cooler. On the counter sit boxes of moon pies and packs of chewing gum, the kind you buy before a long drive or an evening cruise through town. Texas oil fields make this moment possible. The state is a powerhouse of production, with the Permian Basin and East Texas oil field feeding the nation's fuel supply. Pump jacks dot the landscape beyond the city limits, their steady motion a reminder that the ground beneath your feet is rich with black gold. That abundance keeps prices low and the roads busy. Cheap gasoline means weekend trips are easy. You can drive across town to visit friends, head out to the countryside for a picnic, or make the long haul to another city just to see a baseball game. Teenagers treat gas stations like meeting spots. On warm evenings, groups gather by the pumps before heading downtown, their laughter mixing with the scent of gasoline in the air. Some swap stories about where to go next, others lean against their cars, sipping sodas. The glow of the overhead lights casts a soft halo over the scene, making every chrome bumper shine. Nights like this feel endless, and in a place where fuel is cheap and the highways stretch for miles, there is always somewhere new to go. The Texas sun dips low, casting long shadows over Main Street as neon signs flicker to life. In the early 1950s, neon is still a novelty here, and store owners compete to see whose sign glows brightest. People stroll the sidewalks just to admire the bright reds, blues, and greens reflecting on shop windows. Evening air is warm, and with most stores and diners lacking air conditioning, doors are propped open to let in a breeze. The sound of jukebox music drifts out from cafes, mixing country tunes with Latin rhythms, a blend that speaks to the state's diverse culture. Parked cars line the street, many with keys still in the ignition, a sign of how rare theft is in a town where everyone knows each other. Friends linger outside the Rexall drugstore, trading the day's news and swapping rumors about who might be courting who. Not everyone owns a television yet, so much of the evening's information is exchanged right here face to face. Down at the soda fountain, the scent of grilled burgers mingles with the sweetness of fresh milkshakes. A scoop of ice cream costs just a nickel, and couples share sundaes at the counter, the boy always reaching for the check without question. You walk alongside your girl, the glow from the storefronts catching in her hair. At the soda fountain, you buy her a cone piled high with vanilla ice cream, and the two of you wander slowly, careful not to let it drip on your clothes. Passing a record shop, you step inside to flip through vinyl sleeves, pointing out the latest hit singles and laughing about which ones the school band could never play right. A few doors down, the windows of a jewelry store sparkle under the new neon, and you both pause to look at watches and rings you cannot afford yet, but talk about as if they are already yours. In 1950s Texas, an evening stroll like this was often one of the few chances to spend time alone without constant adult supervision. It gave each meeting a special sense of importance and a hint of excitement, as if the whole town was quietly witnessing the start of a romance. Baseball games at the small stadium sometimes run into the evening, the cheers of the crowd echoing faintly from a few blocks away. Paperboys call out headlines from the evening edition of the local newspaper, their voices competing with the hum of neon lights and the chatter from open storefronts. As night deepens, the glow from Main Street becomes a beacon in the warm Texas darkness. The sidewalks stay busy until the minor curfew hours for teenagers, when the local police might offer a friendly reminder that it is time to head home. For a 17-year-old in 1950s Texas, the night feels like it could stretch forever, filled with color, music, and the easy comfort of knowing exactly where you belong. A boy might ask a girl out for a movie right after school, catching her at her locker with a smile, or he might call her home phone in the evening. That call could be nerve-wracking, knowing her mother or father might answer first. In many families, it was expected that a young man would ask permission before taking their daughter out, especially if she was still in high school. Once she said yes, the next question was where to go. But for most teenagers in 1950s Texas, the answer was simple. The movies were the classic choice for a date. In towns and cities across Texas, there were two main kinds of theaters. Grand indoor theaters stood in the heart of Main Street, with tall marquees and glowing lights. A ticket cost less than 50 cents, and the air inside was cool from the rare luxury of air conditioning. The smell of fresh popcorn drifted from the concession stand, mixing with caramel and roasted peanuts. Before the feature films started, the screen showed newsreels and short cartoons, setting the mood for the evening. James Dean drew crowds with his brooding charm. John Wayne attracted audiences who loved rugged Western heroes. Marilyn Monroe was making headlines not only for her roles, but also for starting her own production company. Heavy curtains framed the stage-like screen, giving the theater an air of both elegance and excitement. Drive-in theaters were another popular option, especially on warm nights. They charged by the car, so a group of friends or a couple could watch from the comfort of a front seat. The sound came from a small speaker hooked onto the car window, and the stars above added their own backdrop to the movie. Even if a boy brought snacks from home, it was common to stop at the snack bar for a bottle of soda for a nickel or a chocolate bar for 10 cents. The glow from the big outdoor screen lit up the rows of parked cars while the distant hum of crickets mixed with the movie dialogue. On a date, the boy almost always paid for tickets and treats. If things were going well, they might linger after the show, strolling under the marquee lights or sitting in the car with the radio on low, letting the night stretch just a little longer. For many teens, though, movie night was less about the film itself and more about sharing a few hours together in a world that felt far away from the daily routine. The warm Texas evening settles over the neighborhood as you step inside, closing the screen door behind you. The living room glows softly in the light of a black and white television, the centerpiece of the home. In the 1950s, one TV was often the pride of the household, and it brought the whole family together after dinner. Sometimes the neighbors stopped by to watch a big show if they did not own a set themselves. Before settling in, someone climbs up onto the roof to adjust the antenna, while another person inside calls out when the picture looks clearer. The evening lineup features favorites like I Love Lucy and variety programs that fill the room with laughter and a sense of shared excitement. Tonight's supper is a Swanson TV dinner, a new convenience introduced just a few years ago. The divided aluminum tray holds slices of turkey with gravy, mashed potatoes, peas, and a small dessert, all for 98 cents, about the price of a gallon of gasoline at the time. In the 1950s, people spoke of it with pride, calling it a TV dinner, a symbol of modern living that let families eat while watching their favorite programs. Today, it would simply be called a frozen dinner or microwave meal, the novelty long gone. But back then, the idea felt fresh, almost futuristic compared to cooking from scratch. On quieter nights, the meal might be leftovers from the weekend, reheated on the stove while music played softly from the radio in the kitchen. Sunday dinners are different. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins gather around the big table, filling plates with roast beef, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, and homemade pies. Conversations overlap as children slip away from the table to play in the yard, while the older folks linger over coffee. At Christmas, the spread is even richer with roasted turkey or ham, sweet potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and pecan pie. Thanksgiving brings its own traditions with turkey, cornbread dressing, giblet gravy, green bean casserole, cranberry relish, and pumpkin pie. Each dish prepared from recipes passed down through generations. After the meal, the family gathers in the living room. Parents talk quietly while children finish homework or play on the rug. Sometimes a neighbor drops by with fresh pecans or homemade preserves, staying long enough to watch the last program of the night. Summer nights mean open windows, letting in the sound of crickets, the rustle of leaves, and the occasional distant train whistle. The glow of the TV fades, the house darkens, and the soft hum of the box fan fills the quiet, carrying everyone into the calm rhythm of another Texas night in the 1950s. By the time the day winds down, the house moves into a slower rhythm. The single bathroom, shared by everyone in the family, has a line at the door. Steam drifts out as one sibling finishes their turn, and the smell of soap hangs in the air. The porcelain sink is cool to the touch, its chrome faucet polished to a shine, and the mirrored medicine cabinet holds everything from toothpaste to a small bottle of aspirin. In many homes, the shower is still a novelty, so the evening bath remains a routine. The clawfoot tub creaks slightly as you step in, warm water easing away the dust and heat of a Texas summer day. When it is your turn to settle in for the night, you head to the bedroom you share with a younger brother. Two twin beds sit against opposite walls, each made with stiff, freshly laundered sheets and a heavy quilt folded neatly at the foot. On your nightstand rests a small alarm clock and a stack of magazines with bold headlines. A worn radio hums softly in the background, playing a slow tune from a country station or drifting into the low murmur of the evening news. The walls hold bits of your personality. A faded baseball poster from a local team hangs above the bed next to a cutout of a movie star clipped from the newspaper. Across the room, your brother has tacked up a colorful drawing from school. In the drawer of the nightstand lies a small notebook where you jot down thoughts before sleep. You pull on your cotton pajamas, the fabric cool against your skin, and slip under the covers. Outside, the night sounds begin. The steady trill of crickets, the occasional hoot of an owl, and the distant horn of a freight train passing through town fill the air. The rest of the house has gone quiet. Television sets are dark, the kitchen lights are off, and the faint smell of dinner still lingers in the air. Lying there in the soft glow of the bedside lamp, you listen until your eyelids grow heavy, and soon the room fades into darkness.